right, I'm starting my trip down the Columbia River here in Fort Stevens, Oregon. I'm only probably going to spend about 3 weeks on this trip. It's already June, starting to warm up, and I'd rather not be in eastern Washington in the peak of summer. It's really hot and there's not a lot of shade. I'll probably make it to the Grand Coulee Dam in that time. So like I said, I'm starting out here in Fort Stevens, and right now I'm in the Lot D area, and I'm about as close as I can get to the Columbia River right now. They're doing some work on the jetty, and you may actually be able to hear some of the construction equipment in the background. So we'll have to save a lot of the Columbia River for when I get into Astoria and Warrington. This is a large state park. It's about 4,000 acres, and there's a lot of military history here. So this first video on the Columbia River will probably just be Fort Stevens. So here we go, the Columbia River. All right, I'm headed back to Lot D, and we're coming across our first structure. This doesn't really feel like anything from a fortification. It looks more like a duck blind, although I've never seen a duck blind made out of concrete before, and especially with all these pictures. We are close to the area of the park that does allow hunting, so there you go. This area of the park is the Clatsop Spit. It has 4 major recreational areas, and they're in alphabetical order. The furthest one out on the spit is Area D, and I'm headed to Area C now. Alright, I'm in the Lot C area now, and you probably can see the jetties and possibly some of the construction behind me. I walked as far as I could down on the jetty, but I am walking in the other direction. Turn you around here. You probably can see that there's a beach down there. I'm going to walk on this jetty down to the end, see if I can get to the beach from here. Alright, so I've reached almost the end of the jetty, and these rocks are so large, I just don't feel like doing the scramble down to the sand. Looks like a access spot just up ahead, so I'll drive over there, but you can definitely see that they've done some rehabilitation work on this portion of the jetty as well. Alright, as I walk back to the van, I can definitely see signs of erosion here. Looks like they're trying to prevent it. Of course, you can also see some new rocks down here as well. Well, this is the end of the jetty, and it's too bad I can't walk all the way out to where that piece of equipment is. I will say that that equipment is pretty impressive given the size, but that's going to be a wrap for Area C. I'm going to head on to Area B. Alright, I'm in the Lot B area. It's going to be the first time I get out to the Pacific Ocean. So I'll get out there, walk a little bit down the beach, and then of course we'll head to Area A. All right, well, that was a nice little walk on the beach. I'm headed back to Lot B, and I'm gonna skip over Lot A. I'm gonna go straight into the historical portions of the state park, and I'm gonna head to Battery Russell. I made it to Battery Russell, and I anticipate that this is going to be a short stop, but short stops for me end up turning into a 2-hour stop. But the reason why I anticipate this being a short stop is that there's another area of the base that has multiple batteries and a museum, and from what I'm seeing here so far is that Battery Russell doesn't have any sort of exhibit, so we're probably just going to be looking through the place, kind of scratching our heads at what some of the rooms are used for. So but we'll see what happens. Alright, so I'm on the far side of the battery now. I'm going to start heading up to the upper levels. Alright, before I head out of here, there's a couple trails in this area that I'm going to check out real quick. Looks like I made the right call to wander down some of these side trails. Looks like we have more of the battery up here. Of course, this seems even less maintained than the main portion of the battery. But we'll look around for a bit and then we'll head out. Alright, so from Battery Russell, I took the Battery Russell Trail, which is one of the main biking trails to the park, to this little connector trail, which I'm on now. It's 4/10 of a mile and leads down to the campground. And I was reading about this campground on the website, and it's one of the largest campgrounds in the US. If I read the description right, it has almost 500 campsites, and that doesn't include the yurts and the cabins, things like that, which is mind-blowing to me because the largest campground at Yellowstone, if I remember right, the Madison campground, is only like 450 sites. I know that there's other campgrounds at Yellowstone, but there you go. And I did look. The majority of the campsites are booked through this weekend, so There you go. Walk down there, check it out briefly, and then we'll head out from Battery Russell. All right, so I'm at the campground now, and we're at Loop G. So to tell you just how big this campground is, I think it even goes higher in the alphabet than just G. All right, so I'm back at Battery Russell, and just like I said when I first got here, quick stop for me turns into a 2-hour stop, and that's basically what happened. Wandering around to the different fortifications and then walking down to the campground. So now we'll get going to the other battery area. I think officially it's the historical section of Fort Stevens. All right, so I'm over in the historic area of the park, and this is where some of the housing would be. My guess is, just looking at these floor plans, this would have been officer housing. So I'm gonna head over to the battery area in just a moment. There's a few spots that I want to check out. You're just gonna have to bear with me. It's quite windy right now, so here we go. Alright, the first battery that we're going to stop at is Battery Pratt, and this one actually has a replica 6-inch gun. Alright, I'm headed over to the west battery now, but I'm going to make a quick stop in this building in the ground. This is the west battery. It's actually divided up into sections. You got the Meshler, the Walker, and the Lewis batteries. Unfortunately, you can't walk into the inside of the structure. These guns at the west battery would have been 10-inch barrels. This is going to be the last battery that I check out for the day, battery 245. All right, I'm going to wrap up for the day, but there's not going to be a wrap on Fort Stevens. There's still a lot to see and do, but it's been a long day. I've been standing around a lot of walking, and there's a couple trails in this area that I want to check out. Obviously go to Lake Coffinbury, and then there's one more beach access spot that I want to check out, but that'll be for tomorrow. All right, day 2 at Fort Stevens, and I'm back in the historic area of the park. I'm on the Jetty Trail right now. It's a nice little trail. It should have some good views of the water. And like I said yesterday, I'll go to Coffinbury Lake, and there's one other beach spot that I want to try to get to, but who knows, I may hit up a few other spots before leaving Fort Stevens. All right, so you can probably see these berms. Those are Battery Pratt and West Battery. All right, I think we're coming to the end of the Jetty Trail. Of course, this is Battery 2, 4, 5. So I wanted to see more of the historic area. Unfortunately, there was a flock of birds that were very territorial, and they were diving bombing me over by the earthworks. So I was starting to get really annoyed. Decided just to continue on to Lake Coffinbury. All right, so I'm at Coffinbury Lake, and there's a trail that runs all the way around the lake. So I'll hike on that a little bit, and I think it connects to several other trails and even the campground. So check it out for a bit. Alright, I'm at the South Day Use area, and I'm going to take the trail over to the campground. Alright, here's some more of the campground. This is Loop O. It's the last loop in the campground. This is the last look at Lake Coffinbury. I'm going to head over to one last beach access spot. Alright, so I'm at the beach access spot near the Peter Irwindale wreck, and it's been raining on and off for quite some time now. I think it's going to start raining again in about an hour, so this is going to be an actual quick stop. I'm walking south right now. I'm going to go down a little bit, then I'll head back to the wreck, maybe check that out. It is quite busy right now, so hopefully it clears up and I get some shots of that. But this will be the last stop for Fort Stevens. This is going to wrap up Fort Stevens. In the next video, we're going to be right up the road in Astoria. And we may have time for Warrington and Hammond as well. So I want to thank you for watching.